to day to you. This is Esther Davis. And guess where we are this time for our special edition? We're at the South Dallas Cafe, the most popular cafe in the whole state of Texas. Normally we come over here to do a special series because we know how much you enjoy those. My special guest today is a magnificent African-American male. I've had him several times on the show. And this time we're going to do something a little different with him. Actually, we're going to do a series, and the series is going to encompass 3 different settings. My very special guest is James Madison Brown from New York City by way of Harlem. Now he is a certified bona fide Texan. And I want to welcome you again, Mr. Brown, to the Ester Davis Show. I'm so happy to have you down here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Well, you just got back from New York. What did you do in New York last week?
Collect.
What were you doing?
Well, let's just go to the first part of that.
Okay.
I'll be selling my house.
You're selling your house in New York?
New York.
Okay.
So I spent with the time, really, collecting the rest of the items that I have
To keep,
yeah. And we got everything out that you take out. That's why I'm not feeling too well now, because I spent a day and a night pulling books.
And then when he pulled the books, we have 2 books here. We've been here at South Dallas Cafe now for about 30 minutes, and I am just absolutely amazed at these books. I don't think these books hit Texas, because the one you bought me, this is called Black Winners, a history of spring yard medalists from 1915 to 1983. And you actually did the cover.
Yes.
How did that work? How did that get started?
Well, the person that is asked me to do that was because we were I guess honoring at that time a woman in the book.
Okay.
And it was, they were giving her a special stamp that was going to be made for her.
A stamp?
Stamp, right. And this was posthumous, really. And they honored me as the cover, and many of the other people who came, who were elected to the Spring Garden Medal, to do photographs of them that we could get. And this is how I got involved in that, really. As I said, they were honoring her at the time. So they asked me to do all of the the pictures that were available
at that time.
At that time.
And this book becomes so very magnificent because it actually honors African Americans by decades.
Right.
So what happened is that Mr. Springard was actually the chairman of the board for the NAACP in 1915.
Right.
He dies and he leaves a will that says $10,000 was to go toward his book, which was honoring African Americans in Harlem at the time. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And if the money was not all used, it was supposed to go to the president of Howard University in Fisk at that time.
Right.
But you knew all of these people. That's the part I'm just really, I want to do 1 year. Can we do 1 year? Okay, we'll do 18, Harry Thatcher, let's go to the 1920s. The book goes from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, George Washington Carver, 1864 to 1943.
Yes.
So he received the Spring Garden Medal in 1923. That was one of.
Right.
Anything you can tell me about George Washington Carver?
Well, other than it was the important in terms of the peanut, and he started that whole thing where a lot of other people picked up on that and made money on that too.
You made money on that too, of course you did. Mary McLeod Bethune, 1875 to 1955, was born July 10th in Mayersville, South Carolina. And then, of course, we know that in 1923 she married, and her foresight in leadership was to receive numerous awards, but she started the famous college that's down in Florida at the moment. Now, I'm intrigued with some of the college professors that are in here that were at Howard University at the time.
Principally Howard University.
Principal Howard University. But we had a lot of African Americans that went to Harvard.
Harvard, right, absolutely.
Howard University.
Well, part of that has to do, I guess, with my wife, who was from up in the Boston area.
Okay, Boston area.
And she's a very significant individual because she knew a lot from up there. And she went to Black College in the South.
In the South. Okay, then moved to Harlem.
Yes.
There is Lewis Thompson Wright. He was a surgeon. He received his MD. He went to Friedman Hospital in Washington, D.C. He was an intern by way of Georgia. And I noticed in 1919, Mr. Wright joined the staff of Harlem Hospital at that time. Was an internist and did a lot of hard work and dedication. In 1928, Dr. Brown took an examination for a surgeon. And the book is, I've never seen this, and I have done an awful lot of African American studies over the years. Now, this one is a little different. This the second book that James Madison bound back from his library was Harlem on My Mind. So they stopped you at the airport with these books. They thought you had a bomb.
We carried them in a case, and it was rather heavy. And you couldn't lift it up really. I mean, I don't know how Lawrence lifted it up, but my son managed to lift it up. But they wanted to search it because they thought we had a bomb in there.
And they were books.
And they were books.
This one says Harlem on My Mind, cultural capital of Black America, and starts in 1900.
Right.
So you bought a lot of your library from New York down here.
Yes, absolutely. And I said a lot of it before even because we were selling the house really, and we had to take everything in the house out.
Out of the house,
yes.
Yeah. And what I'm most intrigued with, can you get a copy of this, Mr. C.W.? This is one of the bands, because you were connected with all of the clubs and the entertainers and the music of that day.
Yeah, of that day, yeah.
You were telling me about this guy you used
Well,
to
it goes
dance
back to even to Dizzy Gillespie. In fact, he had a lot of, I guess, for me, very important because he told me something.
What?
Because this was during the time that they were doing a particular dance. They came to the club to dance.
Right.
You know, and I, in doing so, they always had a situation there where they would have and Dizzy Gillespie, I should go on to Dizzy Gillespie because he was such a person. He said, James, to me, he said, I suggest that you do something with the artwork that you are doing.
Okay.
And
to go along with the music in the club.
Yeah, with the music, right. Okay. Because at the time, he played one bebop piece.
Oh,
and the people wanted him to play, dance the music, you know.
And he's playing bebop.
Yeah. And that's why he told me, he said, I suggest you use that to use your artwork too. Use these pieces of work that that one person can, give to bebop what they.
But you could dance off of bebop.
Yeah, but they wanted, he said, to use your artwork that is so good, and that you would then, being that good, you would attract people to your artwork, and they will come up to see to artwork and what you have done, how you paint, and so on. It looks so realistic. They couldn't stay away from it. And I said, well, yeah, sure, that's fine, because I knew what I was going to do with that. Because when they came up to see the artwork, I would have said, well, this was not just because it's a beautiful painting and it's so realistic. I got something to tell you what it's really about. And that gave me the opportunity to go into my thing.
In this book, this is amazing. It says Duke's music for Amos and Andy. So Duke Ellington wrote some of the music for Amos and Andy.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that. I'm talking to my audiences now. Because I remember, just slightly remember, Amos and Andy in the 50s. But we had no idea that some of this Duke Ellington music was behind that.
Right.
But what did your mom say, before we go to break, what did your mom actually say about your artwork? She wanted you to...
Yeah, she was interested in me sticking to art. I was 8 years old, and let me put it that way too. And I started to draw. And this time we lived in what it was called Sheepshead Bay, the Coney Island area of Brooklyn. Okay.
They had blacks on Coney Island?
Yeah, but it's like, it's simple as this. Blacks would live in Coney Island and come to Coney Island, but the interesting thing about it was there's a black section of Coney Island.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
Which eventually my father said, you have to get out of this section and get into a section where there are black folks. And subsequently I did.
So you did?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
They moved me.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
My brother, how are you?
Oh, pretty
Delighted. The
good.
name is Gray, Vassal Gray. Delighted to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
See what a celebrity you are in
And
Texas?
I hope I will get there one day. I'm not too far, bro. I'm coming.
Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed your meal.
I think I sure did.
All right, thank you, sir.
Have a fantastic day,
Thank you.
my brother.
I could talk, I learned to talk. I had 5 majors when I was in college. I had the GI Bill. That's why. That was nice.
That was good.
Yeah, as you say. And in doing so, I was able to take, so I had majors like in literature, speech, sociology, what else? Let's see, there's 2 or 3 others.
That's 3.
That's 3. I had 2 more. Literature. Did I name that?
Yep.
Yeah.
While he's thinking about it, what we're going to do is take a little bit of a break. I'm Esther Davis. My special guest is James Madison Brown. He's 91 years old, and actually we're going to start early celebrating his 92nd birthday, which is July 4th. Don't go away. You don't want to miss any part of this entire series. I'll be right back.